Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with my February 2025 TBR, and in today's video I'll be talking to you about all the books that I want to read in February 2025. Although I know that going by the list and going by the length of this list, I'm not going to be able to read all of them, but I'm going to try and read as many as I can and bring out videos for you that you will really enjoy. So just a quick reminder that all my TBRs are tentative. Okay, they are like hopefuls. I'm hoping that I'll be able to read all these books this month, but I don't know which books I will get to, etc, etc, etc. You get the whole drift. So without any further ado, let's dive right into my February 2025 TBR and let me share with you all the books that I hope to read in Feb 2025. So the first book that I want to talk to you about is the book that is sponsoring this video, and that book is The Candid Odyssey by B. Johnny. This is a sort of travel memoir of sorts, and this follows the author as he travels across India over 8 weeks. And we also see the meaning of life and philosophy and whatnot, because we all know that if you travel, you are bound to keep thinking of things like this. These are things that will occur to you because that is what opens up your worldview and all. So this is a book that sounds super interesting and I cannot wait to read this one. Next are the books that I'm currently reading, the carryovers, if you will. And you shouldn't be surprised at least one of these books because, you know, it's a me, Mario. I can't, I'm losing it. Anyway, the first book, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. You know what? This 28th, I think 27th or 28th, it's going to be 1 year since I started this book. I don't even know what to say because at the end of last year, I said in a video, which I later deleted that part because I was like, this is not going to happen. I'm sure the next 11 days will see me finishing this book. But does that happen? No sir, no. Until and unless you see the vlog drop, you are going to assume that I'm still reading this book, okay? And the problem is not the book, it's me. Because this is quite easy to read, but I'm hyperventilating, okay. Next are 4 books that I'm currently reading. One is January's by Olivia Blake. This is a collection of short stories which is brilliantly written. I mean, I've only read one of them, but it is so beautifully written that I don't know why I'm not going back to this book yet. Maybe it's because I'm savoring it or something. It would have been so poetic if I had finished January's in January, but I think January's is going to get done in February's. I fight for my life every single day. The next one is this one. It's irritating. But you know what? It's not the storyline that's annoying me. I mean, so far there hasn't been any storyline other than for the contrived writing. But next is Cherrywood by Joxerong, and this is a historical fiction set in 1919 and 1993. And I have not put together the connections yet. I am about 78 pages in. It's not clear yet, so I don't have anything to say about this. And yesterday I was feeling tired, exhausted and whatnot, so I decided to start reading The Burnout by Sophie Kinsella. This is sort of a book club pick for us. 5 pages in, I paused it. And it's not because of the book. It is way too relatable and I love whatever I have read of it, if I can say that, of 5 pages that is. But somehow I wanted to be in my full faculties before I could read this book. Plus, I wanted to read it closer to the date of the discussion. Oh, so I'm reading 6 books at the moment. When I made this list, I was reading 5 books, but I started this one yesterday, this one. So it's 6 books because I finished another book that I had carried over from January, and I finished it on 1st, I think, and I completely forgot about this one and factoring it into a whole list Either way, there are still 33 because this was part of my Feb TBR. But yes, so that book I read for a video that I'll be making very soon. It's one that I have made before, and it's sort of like a yearly tradition at this point to make one in February. I don't know if you can guess it. Not the book, the video. But that is a book that you'll be seeing very soon in that video. So stay tuned. Then for a bunch of review copies that I've been holding on to since what feels like forever at this point. So I'm just going to quickly take their names because I think I've spoken a lot about them in previous videos. Keeping it to a minimum would be best for everyone involved, mainly me. Anyway, so first is The Wobbler by Sarah Beth Durst. The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. These two are NetGalley arcs. But next is Warlord of Ayodhya Resurrection by Shatrujit Nath. This was an author review copy that I received from him, and I still haven't been able to read it. There was a lot of misunderstanding that happened over this copy. I'll talk to you more about it when I'm reviewing the book. So hopefully that will be very soon. Then Kavitri by Aman J. Bedi. Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tomi Adeyemi. This is the third in the Orisha trilogy by the author, and I've seen that movie is in production and I can't wait to watch it. But pehle to I need to read this book. And I need a refresher on the first two books as well. Molly by Rosalie Ham. Room on the Sea by Andre Asiman, and I don't even know how I got approved for this, but I did get approved for it and I cannot wait to read it. I actually started reading it a couple of weeks ago, but then I wasn't getting into it, so I thought, okay, let's wait for 2 or 3 weeks before we start reading it again. So hopefully February is going to encapsulate those 2 or 3 weeks. And then comes My Life, My Rules by Geet Batra, and last but not the least is The Wife and the Dancing Girl by Anuja Chandramouli. I really like Anuja Chandramouli's writing, and I have also reviewed her books before on the channel. I think there are individual review videos as well as in wrap-ups, and when I got this review copy, I was like, thank you so much. Then comes the January subscriber pick, which is Acts of God by Kanan Gill, and this is I think it's a science fiction novel of sorts by famous comedian Kanan Gill, and I am really excited to read it. My husband actually started reading this book. He said it was really fun, at least however much he had read it so far, so I am even more excited because he doesn't say that lightly. Then there's a bunch of books that I'm reading for a video that I've mentioned before, which I'll be making and you'll be seeing very soon. So I won't mention them here because you'll be seeing them there anyway. But there are about 8 or 10 books on here. I don't know if I'll be able to read all of them, but however many I can read, I'll make a video for it. And then there are a few non-fiction books that I want to read. 2 of them I won't be talking about because they are sort of personal projects that I don't want to put out in the world yet. I don't want to jinx it by talking about them. But the third book here is a book called Invisible Women. Something happened recently on Instagram. I made a reel in which I spoke about air conditioning being sexist. I gave some background, I did all of this stuff, but still it was not enough because there were these trolls, these people, these men who were like, oh, you'll call everything sexist, you'll call this and this, you get annoyed about everything, you get irritated at everything, you feminist types and all that. There was a lot of name calling and sexist messages in those comments. Anyway, that's not the point. On that video, there were a lot of women who agreed with me, who related to me, who have had this same experience, and this book came up a lot. Invisible Women, where the achievements of women were overshadowed or taken over by men and the due credits were not given and all of that. From there, I was like, I am going to read this book no matter what. So that's why I've added it to my February TBR, and as soon as I can get my hands on the copy, I will be starting and I will be reading it. And the last of these non-fictions is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and this is such a relevant book in this time and age. It's been relevant for a while now, but for it to come out at a time when media is doing this whole myth-making and distorting reality and doing their, pushing their own agendas and pushing their own propagandas, and we've seen him online over the past few months in fact, and how journalists were tripping over their own feet to bring this guy down, but he with his cool logic brought them down. Those racist journalists, I don't even know where to start with those. So ever since I saw that interview, if you can call it, that man was racist as hell. Ever since I saw that, I was like, I'm a fan of this man. I'm going to read everything he writes. I haven't yet read a single book of his, even though I've owned one for a while. I was gifted to this by a friend, but I'm going to start with this book. Then a few books for my book clubs and buddy reads and whatnot, and one book just because. You'll see why. So the first book is this one, Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This, we had to read it in January, but it never got read. I'm hoping to read it this month because this is an author who I've read before and loved, and this is one of my favorite bookstagrammers of all time. So I don't think there's any other reason that I can give that would be more compelling than this. So next is And next was The Burnout, which I was going to talk to you about in this section, but since I started it yesterday, it got promoted to the carryover section. I don't even know what to call it at this point. Anyway, next up is another book that is sort of personal because I'll be buddy reading it with a friend after a long time, so I don't want to say anything about it. Our buddy reading has been jinxed so many times that I'm like, okay, this time I'm not going to. No, I cannot, we cannot afford to do anything like that, and she agrees, that much I know. And the last book, which I said was just because, is this one, The Dead Fathers Club by Matt Haig, because it's a Matt Haig book. I was craving a Matt Haig book. Like, Matt Haig's books have small chapters. He writes amazingly well. So that was my February 2025 TBR. What did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Have you read any of these books? If you have, which ones? And what are you planning to read in February 2025? Are you going to include The Candid Odyssey? Because that sounds amazing, to be very honest. Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.